Hello everybody and welcome back to a football podcast that precedes unfortunate events. I am Callum, joined here by...
Hello, I am Lewis, I am once again here.
And I'm Toby and I'm once again here.
Thank you for all the support on the first episode, it does mean a lot to us. You know, it's a hard thing to say because it was one episode and we got like 10 viewers, about 15 on YouTube, but it's a good start and we've also upgraded, we're filming now. That's probably just sounded a bit scuffed on the actual microphone, but if you want to watch us on YouTube, you will actually be able to see our faces now and ridicule us with insults now, instead of just ridiculing our
The back of Callum's head.
The back of my head.
Callum's bold spot.
There you go, there you go, if you want to have a look at it on camera. But anyway, getting into things, what's going on this week in the world of football is basically, it's a lot of internationals, we're still in the international break, teams qualifying for the World Cup, where, you know, interestingly, there's one team that's out of the World Cup that we are all loving to see. Italy losing to the mighty North Macedonia, a 1-0 loss due to was it like a 93rd minute goal?
Yeah, 92nd. Well, we were all together when we were watching it, didn't we? We saw it go in.
And so it's quite interesting, you know, the European champions not making the World Cup, you know, and it's what, months later, basically?
It's not far at all.
It's not even been a year since they qualified, since they won the Euros, and now they're out of the World Cup. So I don't know, boys, what do you think about that? Because I don't think we would have ever sat here. We were all anticipating Italy versus Cristiano Ronaldo. Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo versus North Macedonia.
Well, you take into consideration that they didn't qualify for 2018 as well, and it's a massive underachievement. Even though, yes, they won the Euros, obviously you take that, but it's a massive underachievement in general. Fair enough, they had injuries. I'm just trying to pull up the lineup now. But there was no Chiesa. Who else was missing?
No Chiellini were there.
No
Bonucci in the back.
Bonucci. But that's still a very strong squad that should be breezing past North Macedonia. What did they have? 32 shots to
something.
Missed a penalty as well. Didn't
they? To Macedonia's 4. And it's not the first time Italy have slipped up in this qualification campaign.
No, it's not. I think they had 5 draws. They only lost 1 game, but I think they had one of the easier groups. And the thing is, I think my statistics right here, boys. Italy have not reached it past, now officially, haven't reached it into the knockout stages or past the first knockout stage of a World Cup since 2006 when they won the World Cup. So that is now 16 years Italy will have had to have waited. It'll end up being 20 just for knockout World Cup football. And you know, I think a lot of Italian fans are looking at this, and I think a lot of them are salty, and I think the initial reaction was just to project it onto us, the English, who were making fun of them for it, rightly so. But do you think this is a damning thing for Italy, or do you think realistically that European Championship was the best thing they were going to get anywhere?
It's a step backwards though, because off the back of that Euros triumph, you expect you expect them to build on that. You expect them to at least go to the World Cup and not make a name for themselves, but show everybody what they could do on the biggest stage. Well, you saw it at the back end of qualifying. They can win the Euros, but they can't beat Northern Ireland. They can't beat Switzerland, even though they have a penalty in the last minute, and that it costs them. They're looking to breeze to the tournament, but those last 2 games screwed them over. And Switzerland, who England beat last night, were able to act on that.
Yeah, and you look at it, and you know the teams in and around Italy, you know, who are going to qualify. Wales, Scotland, or Ukraine is one of the fixtures, but that's been postponed. Poland, Sweden, Portugal, North Macedonia. You know, Portugal are probably now looking at this as an easy ride after, you know, beating Turkey 3-1. You know, a Turkey team that has just flagged to, you know, achieve anything really, when people thought maybe this Turkey team could actually do something of note in the Euros, and they
flopped hard, didn't they?
Arguably the worst team at the tournament.
Well, they were one of the dark horses, weren't they? Everybody was tipping them to go quite far, and then we saw what they were made of. They were dreadful. They were the worst team there.
So we go through this, you know, we could talk about Italy at length. I know there was a Bonucci quote of him complaining, but it's the same qualifying process for everyone else, isn't it? So he can't complain when everyone else has to go through the same process as Italy just because they won the Euros. It sounded like almost privileged in a way.
There was a lot of talk of Mancini as well, possibly leaving the job, because I think he's contracted till way after the World Cup. So, but he came out yesterday and said that he's going to stay at the job. You know, it's a journey, and I think if you look at the core of that Italian squad, there's a lot of old heads in there as well, which is a good thing. And I think that's how they won the Euros. Really, they were very dominant in the Euros. You've got to say, except for the final, obviously.
They were the best team there.
Yeah, I think it was a fairly even final, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, as an English fan,
I think they were perfectly set up for knockout football, wasn't they?
Yeah.
He came in knowing how to play rough, ready, defensive, in a way, football, and it worked. You know, even after England scored in the first minute, I think it was, we scored. And they still managed to win the Euros, take it home, and now they'll be sat at home for the World Cup.
Yeah, but it's as you said, they've got all those experienced heads. The two centre halves, Jorginho. How old's Jorginho now?
He's getting
29, 30.
Yeah, and then Mobile up top, but it only has a certain shelf life. It can get you through one tournament, and fair enough, but it's going to expire. It can only go on for so long, and I think it's a whole debate in its own, but I'd rather come second in the Euros and qualify for the 2 World Cups either side than win it. And
I think it'll be exciting to see how Italy line up in the Nations League. Obviously, it's coming up in June. They'll obviously be there, and I looked at a quote earlier by Mancini, and he did say there'll be new players in by the time of June as well. So that'll be exciting to see. You know, I think we saw it with Netherlands as well when they brought through these talents. And, you know, there's countries like Spain, who obviously had that golden generation. You know, they won the Euros, and they won the World Cup then Euros ago. And obviously, if you look at their team now, they haven't got the Pujols, the Casillas, the Xavi, the Iniesta, and all them fantastic players. And obviously, they've had to recycle, and then they've had to start a whole new chapter. So I think we'll see the same with Italy as well. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see how they turn out. But who do you think? Who looks worse out of this? Do you think Mancini's reputation has been damaged, or do you think it's more in Italy and the Federation of Italy?
I feel like it's more Federation of Italy, because Mancini won them the Euros. It was his tactics, his management style that dragged them through the rounds. He knew what to do and did it perfectly to the point where he was getting linked with big jobs afterwards, and I think deservedly so. Even though I do think international and club football is a completely different ball game, but I think Italy have had to rely on these old heads for so long now. I do think they've got good young players. Locatelli, Chiesa, Sandro Tonali. There's that young lad, I forgot what he's called, not Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Raspa something, I think.
Raspadori.
Who's come through quite recently. There's still Domenico Berardi, who I still think is 26, so he's got good years.
Bastoni, how old's Bastoni?
Really young centre back. So I think it's not like Moise Kean, if he can find that potential that it's clear he has. Italy have got a good young core, and I think now it's about building that young core up to the next competition, and then having players who are ready to step in.
Well, going back to the Mancini situation, I don't think you can put the blame on Mancini. Obviously, a certain proportion of it will be, but considering how they didn't qualify, they missed a penalty in the last minute against Switzerland. They had 32 shots. They had 32 shots. It's not a manager's job to put those shots in the back of the net.
I think that's something they struggled with towards the end of the Euros.
Yeah, but that's not the manager's fault. There's only so much you can do in training. But realistically, if your strikers cannot perform on the day, is that the manager's fault?
It's weird. Ciro Immobile is like this constant. He seems to be in a constant race for the European Golden Boot ever since moving back to Lazio, and he just can't seem to perform for the national team. I know he started off really well in the group stages, I think, but then he just slowly tailed off towards the end, and it was sad to see that Italy, just couldn't really score goals, and their way of getting through teams was defensive solidity and a strong midfield, which they have. But I feel like if we move on to a team that has, I believe, qualified for their first World Cup, it's got to be since at least the late 80s,
I think it was 36 years, I believe.
Yeah, since before the invention of the Premier League, and that's Canada. I believe Canada, USA and Mexico are the teams from their division that have qualified, because I believe America beat, I'll tell you here,
Panama, wasn't it?
USA beat Panama 5-1, I believe, and Mexico beat Honduras 1-0 to get them through. But the main talking point of this has been Canada, managed by a Geordie, I believe. Managed by a Geordie who used to manage the women's team, took the same philosophy into the men's team, and has made them, arguably, it might have a case for being one of those teams that do really, not like a dark horse, but one of those teams that really defies expectations in a World Cup and pushes themselves, because they've got a really good young core who are only going to improve over the next few months, and they've also got a good mix of experience in, a good coach clearly. What do you think about this overall qualification process for Canada?
Well, they're an exciting team, aren't they? I think, especially going forward, obviously the standout players are obviously Jonathan Davis and Ike Ugbo as well. He's obviously from Chelsea. He was at Ghent as well. I think he's in France now. But yeah, I think going forward they are exciting, and I think they've got a good balance between youth and experience. They've got that Hutchinson in midfield. I know him off FIFA. I've never watched him play. Yeah, big midfielder. Yeah, he's decent.
In the season card the other year.
Yeah, and like you said, they've got that English manager John Herdman, and I think when they go to the World Cup, they'll just be everyone's second favourite team if you're not from Canada. And I don't know if you saw the reactions on Twitter in Toronto as well when the team came to back through the city or whatever on the parade afterwards. I think it's great for the country, and I think they've been building towards it for quite a while, and it's good to see. I like it when a fresh team
you look to see fresh faces. It's something we've not seen in a while in any of our lifetimes, and there's just sort of you can't really describe it, but there's a real feel good factor around them at the moment. Because what are they? They lost to Costa Rica, but before that they were unbeaten in, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 qualifying matches they were unbeaten in.
They only lost 1 or 2 qualifying matches, didn't they?
Yeah, they lost 1.
Yeah, and that was it. And that was what? To Costa Rica right towards the end?
Yeah, last game. Not last game, the game before.
Exactly, so they were, and they probably, I can't imagine the lineup was too strong, and that's not even included, the return of Alphonso Davies, who I believe
he's
now training again, so he'll be there after I believe he had a heart issue.
Did you see his reaction on Twitch?
Yeah.
After the game, yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's how much it means to them, isn't it? And you look at Jonathan David, who looks like one of the young emerging forwards in Europe. I'm not going to attempt to say his name.
I think.
You'll say it better than me. There's got this team of players who really care about football, and Canada's always been a football country, I think. I think it's probably the one distance from America. I feel like I see a lot of people say this, that Canada's probably closer to us than it is to actually America in how the people are, as in that it's a very popular, especially the women's team is ridiculously popular over there, and I believe football is the most popular sport in Canada. Besides, I think it's between that and ice hockey.
I know lacrosse is up there. Isn't lacrosse like the national sport of Canada? It's something stupid.
It is,
like
but
that.
I think football's ridiculously popular now in Canada, and this has probably helped it. And the Canadian Premier League now, I don't know which team's playing there, but I know the Canadian Premier League's a thing now, and that's done quite well in Canada. But it's just an overall good story, and a plan's been in place. They've worked to it, and they've eventually achieved their goals, surpassing the USA, which is something that a lot of Canadians will hold pride in. Because it's kind of like with us, Scotland, we can always dangle something over Scotland, and Scotland are probably desperate to get one over on us. If Scotland win, I think beat us, the country would go into meltdown. And it's the same with the USA and Canada. So seeing Canada, the underdogs of North America, because Mexico as well.
We say Mexico as well. I think
Mexico's got a rich history in football. The USA not so much as a rich history, but have a much better history than Canada. So to see Canada come in and storm the competition, that's what they've done. They've absolutely stormed the competition and put every team they've played to the sword, and it shows. And now they've earned a place in arguably the most prestigious tournament in football, club or country.
Definitely.
So if we move on to today's games. We've got Poland, Sweden, Portugal, North Macedonia, and they're the European ones. So we'll just quickly go through each game that is happening today.
Some predictions.
And give predictions. Yeah. Poland, Sweden. Lewis, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, I don't know. It's a very tricky one. Poland are always they've always been quite, consistent. They've always done quite well at tournaments, obviously barring they weren't very good at World Cup 2018, were they?
They beat us in a friendly, didn't they? Poland. Was that before the Euros or after?
Or was it a draw?
Or was it a draw? A last minute draw?
Yeah, last minute draw.
They got a last minute draw, yeah, I think.
I really don't know, but I think Sweden will edge it. But I don't think there's a lot in it at all. No. I think it'll be very tight, sort of 0-0 till the final 5. Somebody will score.
I agree. I think Sweden will just edge it as well. I think they're 11 places higher in the FIFA World Rankings. I know you can't base everything off of you can't base everything off of those, but yeah, like Lewis said, I think both teams are quite evenly matched, so it's really hard to guess.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to change your opinion, but Sweden haven't scored in the last 2 away matches, and it's an away match. Yeah. So I don't know, because I feel like the Lewandowski, Zielinski, Mati Cash, who's really performed well recently at Villa, Kamil Glik, Bednarak, but at the same time, what it's saying here as a prediction, a strike partnership of Alexander Isak and Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to be hard for any defender. That's not even including Emil Forsberg, Kulusevski, who's had a fantastic start to his career at Spurs.
Anthony Elanga.
I don't know if Elanga will start, but Elanga's in and around and will more likely play an impact. I think this is probably out of the European games, I know there's only 2, it's definitely the hardest to predict, and I think even if Wales were playing Scotland or Ukraine, it'd still be the hardest one. I think Poland are going to win 2-1. I think Poland are going to squeak through, because I can't see Lewandowski not playing in a World Cup personally, that's all it is.
Well, is Zlatan still in the frame for Sweden, or did he retire?
No, he came back, didn't he?
Yeah, I know he retired and came back, but did he retire again?
No, after the Euros he came back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd say 2-1, but to Sweden. I think they'll edge it, last minute winner or something. I can see it now.
So next game is the 8th ranked Portugal take on the 67th ranked North Macedonia. North Macedonia unbeaten in their last 4 away games. So a team that really impressed in the World Cup, even the Euro, even in defeat, and in this World Cup qualifying campaign. What are they? A tiny country with barely any recognisable players, with probably only Elmas and Alioski as the 2 names who you could recognise because Panda's retired now. But I think it was Trajkovski was the one who scored the winner.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Their number 9 scored the winner to put them through against Italy in a tough fought game. They defended really well. I think even the parts we watched, they defended fantastically. They kept Italy out, and then they caught them on the counter attack, and that was it.
Yeah, but it's very easy to say that Macedonia weren't very good against Italy. Massive underdog, terrible team, pump 5 past them. But they're a well-organised unit. As a Stoke fan, I love a good well-organised unit. But I just like that style of football. Call me a Tony Pulis enthusiast, but it gets results against these big teams. We saw it against Italy. They shut them out. And it will not be an easy game for Portugal by any stretch. Portugal will be challenged. Portugal won't just go and put 5 goals past them.
Yeah.
But Macedonia will put up a fight, and I think they've got a real chance of doing something special.
Yeah. And to be fair, I didn't realise either they've got Enis Bardi, who I believe plays for Levante too. So they've got quite a decent midfield, for a national team. And I think, North Macedonia are everyone. They want them to. I know everyone wants Ronaldo to play in one more World Cup, but at the same time, it's so hard to pick, because I do think Portugal qualify. I think North Macedonia have had their run. I personally think Portugal are going to beat them 3-0 with Ronaldo scoring 2. Yeah, I think the thing is with North Macedonia is the goal is you want to score past them early. You score past them early, then you can
blitz they've got to come at you then, haven't they?
When Germany beat them 4-0.
The floodgates open, if you will.
Exactly. So I don't know if you think the same, Toby, but do you think North Macedonia do have a chance to get?
I do think so. I think sometimes Portugal do struggle against lower ranked teams.
Ireland,
Serbia. Yeah, well, you see, if you look at some of their recent results, obviously there's some countries where they're just obliterated, but they're a lot lower down them. They're not recognised as footballing countries, if you could say that. But like we saw in the Euros, what sticks out for me is when they played Hungary, and I know they beat them 3-0, but them goals didn't come till after the 80th minute, did they? Yeah. When I got a double, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird with Portugal because they've got such a attack-heavy team. They've got good defenders as well, but I think it's one of them where they have so many good attacking talents that sometimes I can't see it all working together. They've got Silva, they've got Martinez. Well, Martinez is a more defensive midfielder, but they've got them in midfield. They've got Fernandes as well, Neves. Going forward, they've obviously got Jota, Ronaldo. Is it Octavio on the right? I think they play Octavio normally on the right.
I remember as Brazilian, but I think he represents Portugal now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's weird with Portugal. I know it's quite easy. It's an easy statement to make, but they'll either play really well or really shit. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't think you ever get an in between with Portugal. But yeah, I think to put it simply, it might be one of the most embarrassing days in Portuguese football if they don't win here. I think same with Italy. But we move over to Africa. Their final stages for, I believe, 5 teams qualified. That's what the internet told me. So
they got the internet.
We've got Nigeria, Ghana. Ghana haven't. It's currently 0-0, and it's the second leg today. Ghana haven't won in the past 5 games, and Nigeria haven't scored in the past 2 matches. 0-0 draw. Ghana being the last result. So it's quite an interesting one, But Nigeria recently do have a 1-0 win over Egypt. So it's kind of a thing is, I think Nigeria will qualify, up the Alex Iwobi army. But I think Ghana look like a team that do like to make it really difficult for opposition. And obviously we're not experts in African football, but I just think Nigeria has the quality that will see them through here.
Yeah, they're ever like we said earlier about Canada. I think Nigeria were everyone's second favourite team when it came to the last World Cup. So yeah, like Nigeria, they underperformed in the African Cup of Nations, didn't they? I think they didn't do too well.
Not for that
I know of. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But I think Nigeria will edge it.
I just want to see another Nigerian kit for the World Cup. Please.
Yeah, certainly. And Lookman's there now, and he's joined up with Nigeria. So see how they go.
If only we started that. Moving on, Senegal, Egypt, the Liverpool winger derby. Egypt currently 1-0 up. I don't know. See if I can't. I was going to give you some context, but the mouse doesn't want to work. Here you go. Let me give you some context. Egypt, an own goal from Salusis in the 4th minute, and Egypt were able to hold on. Senegal, current African Cup of Nations champions, after beating Egypt 4-2 in the final. So these teams have history. They have one up on each other. Well, they're even now. This is the deciding game. Senegal at home with a 1-0 disadvantage. Do you think Egypt hold on against a Senegal team who are unbeaten in 11 home games, and Egypt haven't scored in the last 3 away games? Or do you think this is Senegal's to take and move on to the World Cup?
I can see Senegal scoring, I think, and then it going to penalties. To be honest, go right down to the last minute. So I think it'll be a tight one, like we saw in the African Cup of Nations final. It was a tight game, wasn't it? So
yeah. Well, if you say anything about these two teams matching up, is there are never many goals. I say this now, it'll be like 4-4, won't it?
The African Cup of Nations final was 4-2.
Was it?
Well, penalties, wasn't it?
It was 0-0. That was penalties.
Oh,
4-2 and penalties.
Sorry, I do apologise.
Smelly one there.
I didn't watch the African Cup.
It was 0-0. Went to penalties.
It says 4-2 here.
Yeah.
Pens 4-2. That's really weird. Yeah. So
idiot.
Listen, blame foot mob.
No ball knowledge, mate. No ball knowledge. Yeah. Okay. So there's never many goals. So I could see Egypt just sitting back, full San Marino style 10-0-1 formation, well 9-0-1 formation, and
goalkeeper plus
just sitting back and going for the draw. I know it's a very easy thing to say, but they're a one-man team realistically.
Mohamed El Neni.
Mohamed, yeah, great. But I think they're just going to sit behind the ball and hope Salah can do something up front.
Yeah, I think that's the strategy. Toby, what do you think?
Yeah, very similar. I think it'll just go to penalties, to be honest. It'll be a tight game.
Right, so we're going to... These countries coming up are ones that we're probably not really that experts on. So I'm just going to quickfire you. I'm going to ask for your winners. I don't want any details. I just want who you think is going to win. Algeria, Cameroon. Algeria currently 1-0 up.
Algeria.
Also Algeria.
Morocco, DR Congo. Morocco, it is currently 1-1, sorry.
Morocco, I think.
DR Congo.
Yannick Bolasie. Tunisia, Mali. Tunisia are 1-0 up.
I think Tunisia.
Yeah, Tunisia, I think, yeah.
Right, and then we'll move into the Asian games that actually matter. So I believe South Korea, Asia has got something behind it. South Korea.
South Korea, what, sorry?
I'm in Asia. I'm going to get the table up now, just in case, because I feel like Iran have also got something to play for. Or am I wrong? No,
yeah, because they've still got one more qualifying game left, haven't they?
They're 1-0 up currently.
See, they're playing the Emirates, aren't they, I think?
Yeah, right. So we'll just ask for these ones. UAE, South Korea. I believe UAE are the team that are actually doing quite well. It's UAE are doing quite well.
I just back South Korea, I think.
Yeah, it's second versus third.
Yeah, but if you look at the points, Callum, it's a meaningless game.
But is this not UAE need to win just to make sure they can get that third spot and play a team from, I believe it's South America?
Yeah, unless Iraq win. Who do Iraq play? They play Syria.
Iraq play Syria away. Right, so the games actually matter. Saudi Arabia, Australia, I believe, is a huge game.
Yeah.
For Australia, anyway, because I don't know how... I don't think... Is this the last game?
Australia's fate was sealed when they played Japan last week.
Well, actually, this is huge for Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia win, because I believe Japan have just drawn with Vietnam. If Saudi Arabia win, they finish top of their group. So, Saudi Arabia or Australia?
Saudi
Arabia. Australia have got too many injuries, haven't they?
And then we'll move on to the friendly. The only friendly we care about, which is England to take on the Ivory Coast.
Did you boys watch the game? on Saturday?
It was dreadful, wasn't it?
Dreadful.
It wasn't dreadful. It wasn't inspiring, but friendlies are never very inspiring, are they? It's about giving the young players a chance, helping them bed into the team. I wasn't expecting a special performance, a Euros-esque performance. But there were encouraging signs, certainly. It was nice to see Luke Shaw pop up with another goal, quite reminiscent of that.
Did you see his interview after the game?
No, what did he say?
He's basically going on about how he really enjoys joining up with England, I think. Being around a good squad compared to Man United, like the harmony of the squad, I think he enjoys.
Shows what happens when morale's high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think, we play an Ivory Coast team who are not the same team they used to be. Let's put it nicely.
We've never played them before, have we?
No, it's the first time, isn't it?
No, I think that's probably why. But we haven't lost in 8 matches, unbeaten in 14 home games. That's games that are 90-minute games. So obviously we lost a little in the final. But we're coming off 2-1 win, a 10-0 win, a 5-0 win, a 1-all, and a 5-0. So, we're in great form. Ivory Coast have lost to Egypt. I believe that was on penalties. Before they do me in again, yeah, it was on penalties. It wasn't a 5-4 score to Egypt, and currently coming off a 2-1 loss to France, which is nothing to be upset about, really. No. But do you think this is a game where we see people like Tyrick Mitchell, Walker Peters, Cody, the people on the edge who don't play much?
Yeah, I think it's a time to show the people on the peripheries, give them a chance, let them show the country what they can do. Really, give them that international cap, give them the stage that they need to perform.
Yeah, that's what friendlies are for, really, isn't it? I think the way the international sort of scenes at the moment is, we've got these friendlies now. We've got the Nations League in the summer, and then we've got some more friendlies in September, I think, before we go to the World Cup. So them three, I sort of see that as 3 blocks where Gareth can sort of build towards the final World Cup squad in terms of formations.
Like these friendlies, it should be more given to young players opportunities instead of, because obviously you have to have the core there, but I think there's a few players who realistically didn't need to go. Harry Kane, for example.
Yeah, but they're always going to be in the squad. Throughout the 2 or 3 friendlies you get on an international break, you're going to make sure everybody gets minutes, barring maybe one of the goalkeepers. Yeah,
but do you think there should be like that core there of maybe 6 or 7 players, and then you actually give opportunities out? Because, for example, I know Tammy Abraham's in the squad, but Ivan Toney's got quite a recent run. I think he's got 11 league goals, which has gone quite unnoticed.
How many of those from the penalty spot, though?
It's goal to goals, isn't there? You've still got to score them. That's Jorginho. You've got to score your penalties when they're given to you. So I think it's a thing where, I don't know, I feel like more players should be given opportunities that aren't given opportunities, and it's not like I'm clamouring for anyone specific, but I feel like these are supposed to be games to prove yourselves. It's kind of like Jack Grealish. Who was Jack Grealish against? That friendly he had, or Nations League game, it was really good, and that's kind of what got him in.
Oh, was it?
The one way one.
It was on AstroTurf, wasn't it? Who was that against?
And he did that skill where he megs the guy.
I can't remember who that was against.
I don't remember who it was against, but that's kind of that was the start of him becoming England's.
Was it Malta? Have I made that up?
No, I think it was quite a good team.
Was it like Hungary or something?
It was a decent. I feel like it was.
Was it the racists?
Yeah, I remember he scored his first goal for England was on an on like a 3G pitch. It might have been San Marino. I don't know. Could have been.
I don't remember.
I think everybody scored against San Marino.
Yeah.
And I think it might be Albania.
It's not a bad shout.
When was this? No, that was November 2021.
Yeah, like you said before, it's a fine balance. I think they've got to keep the core of the squad, because you can't chuck out a team of debutants, for example.
Yeah, you can't have 11.
Because imagine if they lose, like their confidence going into the national team is just gonna.
Because there is a lot crumble. Of people getting opportunities. There's Tyrick Mitchell, there's McWade, there's
Walker Peters,
Gallagher. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Tammy Abraham technically, but he was in the last squad.
Yeah, he was in the squad.
So was Conor Gallagher, but I feel like
Ollie Watkins is in there.
Ollie Watkins,
and he hasn't done great, has he, recently?
No, I don't think Ollie Watkins should be in the squad personally.
No, I don't either. But
what are your thoughts on Harry Maguire? Because a lot of people on Twitter have been berating Harry Maguire's inclusion in the England squad.
There's that video that's come out where he takes a bad touch.
Yeah,
they're
doing.
He takes a 2-touch
rondo, aren't they?
Like, shut up. He was arguably one of our best players at the Euros. Let's not start this.
He was the best defender of the Euro. He was robbed.
Well, we've seen what's happened to Luke Shaw in the England shirts. Harry Maguire might be the exact same. I don't think he can be excluded from the squad. I think he has to start games.
I don't think he's good enough to be Man United captain. But that's a different class of player, understandably. No one said you have to be a world-class player, in my opinion, to be the captain of Man United.
But I think he's the first centre-half on the team sheet in an England shirt.
He is, 100%. But here's the thing, is if Maguire played for West Ham,
Leicester
again, any of those teams, even like an Arsenal, he'd be so much more appreciated in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. He was going through a rough patch, and there's always that argument of when you call up a player, what do you base it on? Club performances or how they performed in England shirt before. There's always that argument with Pickford, isn't there?
That's the thing, and this is why when we get onto it, I won't argue my case then, but you'll see why I argue it when I do, is that if you constantly perform and you never let someone down, why change? Because, and we'll get to that, but yeah, I think that's it. I think England win this game, and I think Ivory Coast grab a goal. I do. I think they've got good attackers. Sebastian Haller is on the form of his life. Nicholas Pepe, Maxwell Cornet, who's been good for Burnley. Frank Kissy, Seri Aurier. I don't know why my accent changed there. Willie, it just happened. I try to pronounce names cool sometimes. Willie, Bolly, Bailly. They've got a good squad. Ivory Coast have got some good players in the squad, and I think they will cause us problems. I could easily see Willie Bolly scoring from a corner, and I don't know why. But yeah, I think England are going to win 3-1. What do you think?
I think we'll draw 1-1.
2-0.
Why you got to be so negative?
I know.
I'm going 2-0.
I know. I'll play devil's advocate like I normally do.
Right, so. And here we go, boys. Now it's time for the most important part of the podcast.
The most controversial part.
The most controversial. We're going to name our England starting 11s with a few players, our most important subs. So basically, we're going to go for starting 11 and then backups. Basically, most important backup defender, most important backup midfielder, most important backup forward. The forward includes wingers, so not just strikers.
And also a few honourable mentions that could make the 23.
People who we think will be in and around the periphery. So they might not make the 23, even in finger, but they're in and around that area where it's getting close. So we should start off goalkeeper, and we all agree it's Jordan Pickford.
I'll put Pickford in, yeah.
I was very torn.
Why have you got to be different?
I was very torn.
Jordan Pickford.
I think I would go Jordan Pickford, but it's very close.
I don't rate Ramsdale at all. I don't rate the hype behind it.
Cameron
really.
St. Merchant.
He's not even that. He's a really good goalkeeper, right? But he's overrated because he's English.
I think he needs a few more years, but I think he'll get to the point where he's better than Pickford.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that, but at the moment, I don't.
But at the moment, this is the thing I always say to Arsenal fans all the time. You put Jordan Pickford in behind Arsenal's defence, we're talking a whole different story. You put Aaron Ramsdale in Everton's defence, we're 100% now in the relegation zone. I back that completely.
Can Everton get a lot worse than they are?
No, not really. But with Aaron Ramsdale, yes, and that might be controversial, but.
Okay, I can back Pickford.
Because the thing is, Aaron Ramsdale's shown what happens when he gets put behind a crap defence. He gets relegated.
I think I've heard a lot of people say it on different podcasts and stuff, but I think Ramsdale does everything bad that Edison does. If you know what I mean, he's got that sort of streak in him where he's going to make a horrific mistake.
And you can't do that in tournament football.
Yeah, it's a risk I'm not willing to take, really, especially in goals.
Because people always say that about Pickford too, but Pickford hasn't even made a mistake. Hasn't made like a bad mistake for Everton since the Origi one, which was 3 or 4 years ago. You're using the same mistake from a World Cup ago to beat him with, and obviously I'm an Everton fan, so it's going to be a natural bit of bias to defend him. But he's arguably been one of Everton's only players to come out with a shred of dignity this season. I think our goal difference would be horrendous without him. Like, it's -10, -11 now. It's not that bad for a team that's near the relegation zone. Without Pickford, I think it's all -25, 30. Leeds levels are bad. Like even in the Tottenham game, he managed to concede 5 and still come out with some dignity. You know, he's playing behind, in my opinion, the worst defence in the league. The worst centre-back.
Organised. Yeah.
There's no organisation in that Everton backline at all.
I think Kabak from Norwich has something to say about that.
No, Kabak starts for Everton comfortably, and I'm being genuine.
Mason, what's your thoughts on Mason Holgate?
He's too iffy. He has his moments, but you can't be inconsistent and play centre-back.
Mason Holgate and Michael Keane.
Oh.
Michael Keane's a weird one, because Michael Keane is a good centre-back, but then his brain shuts off. He has Harry Maguire syndrome. He has the exact same.
Did he go to the Euros?
No, but he was in and around the England squad for quite a long time. I don't think he goes to the tournaments, but he was like, Gareth's reliable. I don't want my main centre-backs to get injured. But yeah, I think Michael Keane's it's weird, because I think maybe if he had a better centre-back next to him, when he plays next to Yerry Mina, he's great. But I don't want, also, you know, we're talking about Everton here, I don't want a centre-back that only can play well when he's got a good partner next to him. But no, I think it's quite a difficult one all around. I think Pickford starts.
Yeah, I'll change my decision to Jordan Pickford.
Pickford starts, and then for the tournaments afterwards, Aaron Ramsdale replaces him.
100%.
And then obviously there is the chance Pickford has a howler and he gives. But I think Gareth. I think the one thing we think of when picking these starting 11s is that Gareth has his trusted people who've never let him down, so they are going to play. Right, right back. Are we all Trent Alexander-Arnold?
It's
Yeah,
obvious.
it's got to be Trent.
Best right back in the world.
Yeah, best right back in the world. Yeah, I don't know why people say Hakimi is beyond me, but I think there's close competitors. I think Reece James is really close to being in. I think Reece James offers a much more solid defensive base. I do think Alexander-Arnold's lack of ability to defend is overrated, as in people say he can't defend, but he's a lot better than people say. Like fair fight.
They're trying to pick a hole in there.
Yeah, people use it as a stick to beat him with, but
I don't think he's a good. I don't think he's a
barely
necessarily
any
good
faults.
defender. Like I think if you put Trent Alexander-Arnold against a top class winger, that top class winger is going to rip him to shreds. But yeah, but I also think that's something that will improve of age. I think naturally, I still think he's the best. Even with that hole in his game, he's still the best right back in the world. So that kind of says something. If he develops his defensive game's got a lot better. He's much more comfortable in one-on-one situations with a fullback now. But also, you kind of understand why he wasn't in the first place, because he goes, if I've beat a man, Virgil's behind me. Virgil's next to me.
It feels like he's been around forever as well, isn't it?
Since 2018, isn't
I know.
it?
Right, yeah.
I think he wasn't in conversations for the World Cup squad.
Well, last time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It seems like...
Or he burst on just after the World Cup.
I think it was just after the World Cup.
So, centre-backs, I've gone for Harry Maguire and Tomori.
I've gone the same, tomorrow.
I've gone Harry Maguire, but I've gone for Ben White to corner him.
Why Ben White over tomorrow, do you think?
He's done well this season. People may disagree with that. Obviously, it was with a hefty price tag, but I think he's helped transform that Arsenal defence. Ask any Arsenal fan, they've been better off because of Ben White. He distributes the ball well. He's a good defender. I think he's just very good all round.
I think Ben White falls under the overrated by Arsenal fans curse, which I think it's anyone who plays for that club. Aaron Ramsdale falls the same to. I think a lot of players do. I don't think Ben White is nearly as good as people say he is. I don't think he's fantastic with the ball at his feet, but I think naturally in defending.
You say that, but how much have you seen of Tomori?
When experts are calling you one of the best centre backs in that league, experts, Lewis.
The top of the league as well, aren't they?
He's in the defence at the top of the league. I can't say I've watched a lot of AC Milan. I could say it's probably maybe around 9 or 10 games overall, not just. But I think it's blatantly obvious.
I think it's certainly between Ben White and Tomori.
Ezri Konsa?
I'd still rather see somebody with a bit more experience.
It'll be tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
And we're obviously now, like when the World Cup's in, it's kind of the beautiful thing about the World Cup being so far away.
Depends what they do. It depends how they start next season.
Exactly. I just think it's the biggest mistake that Gareth has made in this, the selection he's done for these friendlies. I can't believe Tomori's not in there.
Yeah,
I can see why he's put Mings and Cody in there. I can see what he's done there. But they've got nothing to prove anymore, you know what I mean?
They are literally football friends. That is, especially Tyrone Mings. I rate Conor Cody, but I don't even think he's the best English centre-back that plays for Wolves.
And they're not going to play unless there's an injury.
I mean, it's saying here Conor Cody might play today. But
well, yeah, but I mean, in the important
that's
matches.
It, and I'll give it to Conor Cody because
he's really good behind the scenes, though.
Yeah.
Tyrone Mings is a melt.
Any justification behind that claim or not?
No, as in as a footballer, not as a person.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't think he's good. I don't rate Tyrone Mings. I don't know if that's just a me thing. I don't rate Tyrone Mings.
No, I completely agree. I think he did his job for the first couple of games of the Euros, but he's run his England course for me.
Yeah, I think if he gets in out of merit when there's Tomori who genuinely is starting to press towards being a world-class centre-back, not getting in, and by the World Cup will probably be, and possibly now, is England's best centre-back. If he doesn't get in, I think it's a travesty.
Yeah, he's got to.
I don't know. I think I'll have to reserve my judgment when I've seen how next season goes.
Yeah. Right, so we'll move on to left back. Left back's quite controversial because Ben Chilwell suffers quite a serious injury. I think he'll be back at the end of the season. You might be able to confirm that.
Yeah, I think he might have a couple of games. Yeah,
and Luke Shaw.
Shawberto Carlos.
Whenever he plays for England, he impresses.
Banger the other day, by the way. What a goal!
But I've gone for Ben Chilwell at left back. I think Ben Chilwell just offers more.
I've gone for Chilwell.
I prefer Chilwell.
Why am I different? Why am I different every time?
I think
you're a big Brexit man, and you only like them if they play in the Premier League. That's why.
I think Chilwell's got a lot to do when he does come back from that injury, though. I think he's got a lot to prove, especially in an England shirt, to displace Shaw because of the way he's performed.
I think we're basing it off what he showed this season at Chelsea.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he was the standout fullback before Reece James, and then Reece James broke out kind of in and around the injury and has proven, to arguably be one of England's better players. It's just unfortunate that he plays right back.
Yeah, well, we saw at the start of the season where everyone was tipping Chelsea obviously to go for the title. They were title contenders, and obviously when James and Chilwell got the injuries, or Chilwell and James got the injuries the other way around, we had that patch in the middle of the season where Chelsea just crumbled and sort of fell away. And we're such a much better attacking side when they're both in the team. We saw it. I know it was against Burnley, but when James came back for that Burnley game, that was one of the best performances I've seen all season from us against that. I know it's quality of opposition, but we were fantastic in that game. Obviously, James has got another injury now; he's back out for a few weeks. But I think if Chilwell and Trent, I think they'll work perfectly together. Do
you think Trippier deserves a mention at left back?
Well, he's my first sub. Left back, yeah.
Yeah, he only played left back in the Euro, isn't he?
I think Trips has
been in the final.
Yeah, he's been fantastic for England as well. It's sort of like him and Shaw. I think the way they've played for England.
Yeah, it depends how much weighting Gareth puts on previous performances in England.
Fantastic for Newcastle as well. The back-to-back free kicks. I think it's been a bit overrated a bit because of he came in, scored 2 bagger free kicks, and then I think his defensive presence has been overrated a bit. But obviously Newcastle fans are on the ride of their life right now, so it's kind of understandable why they're doing that.
And he's another good experienced head, isn't he? He's gone out, he's won the league. He knows what it is to win.
He's good under pressure situations as well, which I think.
And I don't know
a lot of this England squad aren't. I think,
Did you listen to the True Geordie podcast with?
Yes,
I thought he was fantastic on that.
The way I thought it was incredible the way he spoke about his coaching and stuff. The way he wants to become a manager after.
The way the admiration he had for Diego Simeone as well. It was.
I think you can see the change in him as not only a player but as a sort of man after he's gone away to Spain and came back.
It kind of shows though what the right coaching does to you. You kind of think you look at Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, for example. They had Diego Simeone. We're talking about completely different players because a lot of people have got Diego Simeone wouldn't trust Harry Maguire.
Especially as a defender, though, the coaching you must get on even on a one-to-one level under Simeone must be.
It's under any world-class
beyond
manager,
compare, really.
We're talking about them Manchester United players. Obviously, there's got to be a new Man United manager, so it'd be interesting to see how they do perform, what system they're played in when it comes to the World Cup.
Possibly Eric Ten Hag if you watch the first episode. But
Maguire could be revitalised at United. Obviously,
I think we'll move straight on into midfield. I think some of us have done a flat 3, some of us have done.
Yeah, I've gone for a 4-3-3.
But we'll just mention all the midfielders together. So, Lewis, who are you off 3?
I've gone for Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, and Phil Foden.
I've gone for Declan Rice, Bellingham, and Mount.
I've gone for Declan Rice, Bellingham, and Foden.
So we can all agree that Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham should be the starting sort of pivot.
Declan Rice should be in one of the first 3 or 4 names on the team.
I think I agree. I think it's one of the first names.
Yeah, I think it's Harry Kane. Someone else will mention later. Trent Alexander-Arnold,
and then Declan Rice.
Declan Rice this season has been absolutely fantastic and has been the defensive midfielder England have been missing for a long time.
Yeah.
I think everyone thought it was going to be Calvin Phillips, but I think Declan Rice has just gone leaps and bounds above Calvin Phillips now. And I know
he won Player of the Year, didn't he, for England? He won Player of the Year.
I know Phillips has been injured, but I think even if he was fit, he wouldn't have even come close to Declan Rice's level this season. He's looked like one of the best midfielders in the league. Naturally, that makes him probably one of the better defensive midfielders in the world. I don't think he's quite up there with your names like Joshua Kimmich and Rodri and Fabinho yet.
I think he will be there.
I don't think he's far off, exactly. And I think the fact we don't have to discuss much because we've agreed. And I think Declan Rice has been West Ham's key player this season.
He's more than proved himself. I think going into even the Euros and last season, there was a lot of question marks over him, especially obviously from a Chelsea point of view. I don't know how much of Chelsea Twitter you see on Twitter, but
thankfully not.
I think I've argued this loads of times, but I think Chelsea Twitter is the worst fan base
you haven't seen Everton
on Twitter.
No.
I don't know.
I'll show you some Everton Twitter. Well, do you know what? One episode we'll each get all our fan base's Twitters up. Ours is horrendous.
And get horrible takes.
Ours is horrendous. Like Calvert-Lewin will dress in a skirt for a thing, and that means he don't want to play for Everton anymore. And we're just like, how does that work? And it's just, it's stupid. Twitter in general is stupid, but yeah, I think especially that double pivot, the Rice Bellingham, I think that's locked down. I think Bellingham Bellingham will be on the verge of almost basically a world class player by December, in my opinion.
It's crazy how young he is as well.
God, he's younger than
Scary.
us.
I think
Is he 18 yet?
I think
he's 18 now.
He's
isn't he?
18 and like 18 and a half, I think.
That's unreal.
He's scary.
Born in like June 2003, I think.
And again, he feels like a player who's been around for ages.
Like, theoretically, he'll be coming into his prime in 10 years.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
Like, to put it simply, Jude Bellingham will probably still be in and around football, maybe possibly even going towards 2040, if the athletics of the players are keeping up the way they are. Think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
You know, it's not unrealistic that he's still playing football at 38.
If he gets no injuries, he could be one of the greatest England midfielders of all time.
Barring injuries, I think he might be.
Yeah.
I think if he comes to the Premier League soon as well.
And if he gets the right move, obviously that's got to come into play.
The wrong move could kill him.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: is I think it'll be Man United, and I think that is the right. move.
I don't.
I think if he moves there and you give him Eric Ten Hag, Jude Bellingham, he's just naturally going to get better.
Yeah, it depends on the manager who comes in.
Or even Pochettino. I think if either of them will look someone like Jude Bellingham. I just think Bellingham is Manchester United. I can't see Man City paying for it.
I'd rather him see him at Man City than. I just want to see him in a safe pair of hands.
Yeah, I agree.
Not only a manager, but the actual club itself, because it's all well him going to United, but with Ten Hag there. But if the like the people above in the club, it's just weird.
Do you not think Bellingham may choose Man United though because of the comfort of having really close friends, someone like Jadon Sancho there, and it's.
I don't know. I just want him. Even if he stays abroad, he could go Real Madrid. They've been touted and stuff like that. I know it's strange. I just want him to go to a good club, and I think for England he'll be a mainstay for many years, won't he?
Foden or Mount, it's a difficult debate really. I think my thing is you could pick either of them, and I don't think people will complain. Mason Mount, I feel like has been the more consistent England player. Yeah. I will give him that. I think Mason Mount last season as well was probably better than Phil Foden.
I think Phil Foden's a more exciting prospect though.
Yeah, Phil Foden technically is, besides Wayne Rooney, probably the best England player I've seen. At such a young age.
No end product though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, does it? When you're given 40 chances a game, you're going to put one away eventually. And I think the thing is with Foden is, compared to, I think Mount does have a better end product. I feel like Mount's more trustworthy in front of goal. But at the same time...
You can play either of them without pissing too many.
You know what though, I think I'm going to change my mind.
Ooh.
Because of who I've got on the left, having someone like Mount who can do the job of dropping back and can almost play as the secondary playmaker, I feel like he'll suit what England want to do more. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, okay. That's the reason
I'm fine with either of them, realistically.
Yeah.
So if we go...
Who was your first sub, by the way, in midfield?
Well, might as well do defenders as well. Who's your first defender sub? I think you said...
I said Trippier, yeah. Just because of his experience.
Reece James for me.
I think I would also go for Kieran Trippier purely because of his experience.
I think Reece James is kind of a cheat code though because he's your first defender sub, but if you're desperate for a defensive midfielder you could chuck James in there. I believe that's where he played at Wigan, wasn't it?
Yeah, well I think if Gareth wants to put on Reece James, it wouldn't be because we're losing or because we're winning, and we want to make him more defensive. He would chuck him on, because he could change the game going forward, wouldn't he? You know how important the wing backs are. So.
Yeah, I think like he's...
Yeah, it's all circumstantial. If we're winning, and we're trying to protect the lead, you bring on Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
If
exactly.
we're losing and you're looking for a bit of inspiration down the flanks, you bring on Reece James.
I mean, so for midfielder, I'm going to say Phil Foden because he's a midfielder technically.
I've gone Conor Gallagher.
I've gone Conor Gallagher as well.
I'm going to reserve my judgment until where he is next season.
Yeah, just think how good he could be by December.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Absolutely not.
Lewis
Bacon.
No, as in... He might have Ruben Loftus-Cheek written all over him.
I see what you mean now. I thought you were suggesting Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
I don't think so. Unless he gets a terrible injury. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, he's one of my.
I really wanted Everton to sign him in January when we were linked. I wanted to loan him in, but then we decided to loan El Ghazi in instead.
What happened to him? Was it an attitude problem or?
He got who?
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Oh no, he got a terrible injury, didn't he?
And then he
in that friendly
got another
in America.
Injury. Came back. And then he was really good. He's been good whenever he's played for Tuchel.
Yeah. And he was good at he's good under Sarri as well. He broke through under Sarri really.
Yeah.
He was just one of them players. I wish he came through when Mountain that did. He was in that class, so he was a bit younger because I think he would have been given so many more opportunities. He obviously was made his debut.
Under Frank, didn't he?
Yeah, and under no, he was at Fulham
He
under
was at
Frank.
Fulham, wasn't he?
Fulham, yeah.
Well, he was. Where was he before that?
Because
Palace, maybe?
He got in the World Cup squad, didn't he? Because of a loan spell at
Yeah, he
Crystal
was.
Palace.
Yeah, he was in the 2018 squad.
And he was really good for England. But yeah, I think with Gallagher, it's the Chelsea problem, isn't it? You have all these riches, then you bring him back, and then he might not play, which is.
Well, he's been called up to 2 squads under Gareth. I think Gareth will like him.
Yeah, I think Gareth
does like him. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to reserve judgment until... I think he's good enough. That's not the argument, but I think the point is, if he comes in and doesn't play for Chelsea, and he becomes a Kovacic, where he's in and around, because I think Kovacic is one of genuinely the better midfielders in the Premier League. And he only doesn't start because of the way Chelsea play.
I agree. Gallagher needs the minutes to be considered for an England spot. But
if he's still at Crystal Palace, depending on where Crystal Palace are next season, because you know what a team like Crystal Palace are like, they could be 20th at Christmas next season. It's just the way. It's
not the way they're getting it, won't.
No.
You're just salty because they smacked Everton the other week.
I expected them to smack Everton. That's not a surprise result, but I think it's quite a difficult situation, you know.
Well, he's got chances to prove himself, and if he takes some chances, then, especially in England shirt, I think they're more important than where he is next season, just because...
It depends where he is next season.
And how strong he finishes this season.
Because I don't think they can take a Chelsea bench warmer if that's what he ends up becoming.
He's just I think he's something different to Mount and Foden as well.
His energy as well.
His
he offers that attacking presence, but he offers so much energy where Conor Gallagher can run around for 90 minutes. And Conor Gallagher's the sort of player where I look at and go, if Frank's here next season and if we're in the Premier League, I'd love him. I'd love him to pull some strings and use his little Chelsea connections to get him in, because I genuinely think if we had Gallagher in our team this season, we'd be nowhere near where we are now. Because one of our big problems is losing the ball in midfield as well, and he's someone who can...
He's a presence as well.
Exactly.
He's a presence.
So, we move on to our front three. We all agree Raheem Sterling starts, don't we?
Yeah, two of them right themselves. That's
Kane.
Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So the left winger then?
I've gone Saka.
I have also gone Bukayo Saka.
I've gone Jack Grealish.
Ooh.
I think Saka has just kicked on leaps and bounds this season. Obviously, missing that penalty in the Euros, that is not... If anything, that's just... Not saying they're directly correlated.
You can't say it's done him good, but...
Well, yeah, obviously not, but...
He's progressed a lot.
I think it has done him good. I think it's almost like a learning experience. Not from the abuse or anything, but like...
Missing the actual penalty. If there wasn't any horrible abuse he got afterwards, if you just missed that penalty...
I think it's almost like it's okay. It's okay to lose. It's okay to fail in a sense, and that's helped him.
It's helped his mentality a lot. I can agree with that.
And I think he's always had a fantastic mentality, which is why I don't think he'll start. It is why I think he can offer so much more in and around coming off the bench.
But we saw it. Sorry to intervene, but we saw it in the Euros last year.
I was so surprised when he came on.
He was so good when he started.
Yeah, I think he was so good when he started, but I think, he's one of those players who have such a good attitude that, for example, someone like Jack Grealish off the bench, he's got a good attitude, but I don't think you'd get as much commitment as you would from a Saka off the bench. I think Grealish and Saka are interchangeable as in a point where it will be similar, where depending on who we play against the team where we're going to dominate, you'll see Jack Grealish. Against a team where we're not going to have as much of the ball, we need a counter, you'll see Bukayo Saka.
If you want a more direct option, you go for Saka. If you want a bit more creativity, a bit more of that flair, the pizzazz, you go for Jack Grealish.
Yeah, Saka has been Arsenal's best player this season. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think I'd rather see Grealish. I'd rather see Grealish come off the bench only because late in the game, he's that man who will
can unlock a defence.
Yeah, unlock a defence. And going on to my first striker, forward sub as well. I think Foden's another one of them as well. Like in the box, he could easily find space. The way Foden finds space in the box is ridiculous.
We're all blessed with attacking talent at the moment.
So forward subs, Foden who could be midfielder or attacker. It's your choice.
I went for Jack Grealish because I didn't start him.
I went for Jadon Sancho.
And
I see
obviously missed out the squad.
The rebirth of Jadon Sancho now becoming fruition. I think he's Manchester United's best player, including Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's the best player right now.
Yeah, at the moment I think so. Yeah,
I think he's got comfortable, and understandably, people go, well, he came through the English system. It shouldn't have took this long to adapt. Been in Germany for the past 4 years. It's going to take a while to adapt, and I think now he's really proving himself. And off the bench, the things Jadon Sancho couldn't do, I think technically he might be our best player.
Yeah, well, he was good when did he start against Ukraine at the Euros?
I think
he did.
I think he started a game. I couldn't tell you which.
I think he started the quarter-final against Ukraine, and everybody looked good again. In that game, didn't they?
I think His only issue with is I didn't understand. I think Gareth managed the final wrong. He shouldn't have brought players on for 15, 20 minutes.
No, but that's a different debate, though, isn't it?
No, but I think in that game, I think you can't deny.
He certainly didn't do Rashford, Sancho, and
he made a mistake.
Saka any
Doesn't
good,
mean
did
he's
he?
a bad England manager. He doesn't do the job, but you also have to understand that I think he did make a mistake in arguably the biggest game of his career. But that is a learning experience and something Gareth will learn from. He's still a young manager.
Yeah, but then all them penalty takers when they came on, that was based off training, wasn't it? It was like
because it was just Rashford and Sancho he brought on at the end, wasn't it? Saka was already on the pitch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I also think that's a problem with the senior England players for not taking a penalty.
But I don't think it was their decision. I think it was
based off stats, wasn't it? Which I can't blame him for.
I don't think you can base penalties off stats because there's so much. Because here's the thing. No, if I tell you to take a penalty in front of two of us outside, you'll be able to score it, right?
I wouldn't stretch that far, mate.
Or you'll have a better chance if I tell you to then take a penalty in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah, but I think they try and recreate the conditions as much as they possibly can. I know it is impossible, isn't it? But
they're human beings, and it's in the sense is you want the best players under pressure, not the best penalty takers. Harry Maguire, I don't think Harry Maguire was one of England's better penalty takers.
Mate, have you seen his penalties? He's so good.
No, but
Pickford as well. He's got good penalty.
My point is, he's weirdly one of the better players under pressure for England. Harry Maguire, he can take a deep breath and he's not scared. Harry Kane as well.
Yeah,
you put your best under pressure players first. That's what I think, and then. Or even have Sancho, Saka, thingy take the first penalties, have Harry Maguire take the last penalties.
We'll always lead with Kane.
Yeah, I think
if you save your best penalty takers for the last penalty, there is a chance they don't get to take a penalty.
Yeah, it sets a tone, doesn't it? If Kane scores first, it sets a tone. Captain.
Yeah, I think the whole penalty situation is difficult.
It's difficult, yeah.
I think if they just based penalties off statistics, they've made a mistake and they paid the price for it because pressure is arguably the most important thing for a penalty. I feel horrible that Rashford and Sancho had to come off the bench, play for 10 minutes, and then be put in.
Did we take the first penalty in the shootout?
It wasn't long. It was about 15-20 minutes, Lewis. They didn't play for that long.
Did we take the first penalty?
Yeah, Harry Kane scored the first penalty. Because you want your best pressure players, and I think that's why what happened. Italy had players who can handle the pressure. All their penalties were on target, I think.
And they had a massive 6'7" bloke in goal.
I don't think any of Donnarumma was safe, so the penalties were fantastic.
No, they were crap penalties, but it's just how imposing he is in a penalty shootout situation.
Yeah, I feel like that's it, isn't it? And I feel like with this whole England debate there's so many players you can sub in and people will still agree, which is why I get so confused on how defensive people are over the England squad, because Gareth knows these players best.
I certainly trust Gareth Southgate to make the right decisions.
I do. If we have a clanger this World Cup, then I do think it's time for a change. Like a clanger. If we drop an absolute howler and go out in the first knockout stage, I don't think.
I do like Southgate. Just carry on what you said.
At that point, you'll have run your course.
Especially the scepticism, the fire he came under when he first got the job. It was seen as, after the whole Allardyce fiasco, it was seen as another yes man that will do what the FA want.
The only problem now
I think he's defied that.
He came in of a generation where there was no good English managers. Now there's quite a few good English managers, and you look at someone like Graham Potter, you look at someone like even Steven Gerrard. Players who will demand respect. And I think Gareth does do that.
He does. He came into the job that was a poison chalice, and he's done a great job.
That's why he gets the criticism, is now there is talented English managers, but people don't look at the perspective of who did we have when Gareth came in? Sean Dyche. The best English manager? Dyche, maybe?
Well, you're definitely missing someone.
Eddie Howe.
He was still at Bournemouth, though, wasn't he?
But he was probably the best English manager. It was Eddie Howe or Dyche, probably. And you could pick. But now we're in a generation where English managers are performing well. I don't think Gerrard's been fantastic at Villa. I think if his name was, Stefan Gerrard, it'd be different. We'd be talking about him completely differently. But I think, we're in this generation where even I think Frank Lampard, people would actually rather have him for the sole purpose of Ooga Booga Frank Lampard, not because of any actual merit.
Would you take a non-English manager?
Yeah.
Because people don't consider that.
I don't.
It depends if
Brexit,
you're
but
not.
I don't-
Brexit means
It
Brexit.
depends if you. It depends whether, if for example, someone who's been in and around England for the past 8 or 9 years. Brendan Rodgers is Northern Irish.
Oh yeah, I see. The only people I would take, I would say, is probably Pep. Obviously, Wenger, when he was in his sort of,
I think
it's
they
a
have
bit
to-
too late now for Wenger, obviously, but
Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho, yeah, and Jurgen Klopp, but that's not
I
going to
think
happen.
you've got to. I think my condition is you have to have been in England managing.
Oh
for a
yeah,
few
to
years.
understand the players.
No, I wouldn't just go take.
Fabio Capello.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't just go take a foreign manager, Diego Simeone, as England manager.
no.
He doesn't know the play. He knows Kieran Trippier. That's about it.
I think he can make it work, but
I'd take some, yeah.
But I think it'd
I'd
take a
take him
while.
with
I think
everything.
my point is it'd take a while compared to if you slapped. Now, if you slapped Bruno Lage even in the England job, he'd know a few of the players. He'd go, I know you. I know I know what all of you are good at. I've played each of you twice. You know, I've got statistics through the books on you. I know what you do. I know these players. It won't take. I don't think the learning curve's as much. If, for example, if Diego Simeone came in 3 years before a World Cup, 2 years before a Euros, talking different story then. If we're talking Gareth Southgate leaves tomorrow, I want someone who's been managing in England for a few years.
yeah, but like before, we've been bitten by foreign managers. I don't think we'll ever turn back to
Yeah,
foreign
I agree.
manager.
I don't know. I think Fabio Capello was bad. I don't think Sven-Göran Eriksson was awful, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're the only foreign managers we've had, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it must be. But
Unless you count Steve McLaren as Dutch.
yeah, that can count. Do you think we've actually got a realistic chance of winning the
Yes.
World
I
Cup?
think we've got a realistic chance. I don't think we will.
I think we'll reach a final again.
I think we can.
I think we can.
I think our team's got probably one of the biggest hearts in the tournament, and people laugh when you say that.
The vibes are high.
And we've done it twice. We've beaten ourselves every time. So if you look at it like that, the only next thing we can do is win a
Well,
tournament.
Toby, we
Right,
came
realistic-
fourth in the World Cup, third in the Nations League.
Exactly, yeah.
Realistically, I'm trying to think of countries that are actually better than us. France.
Oh, France are a tricky one.
It depends what France
On
you get,
paper.
but I think you've got to say France. France,
Possibly Spain.
possibly Spain. None of
Brazil.
the South American teams. None of the
Brazil?
South American teams.
Not Brazil.
There's no competition in South America anymore. It's Brazil, Argentina.
That's a big.
That's it. That's an interesting.
It's
I think Brazil
It's
are-
Brazil, Argentina. That's it. The thing is why those teams used to be so good was Copa America. You had Alexis Sanchez's Chile with Arturo Vidal and a few other players. You had James Rodriguez's Colombia. You had Messi's Argentina. You had Neymar's Brazil. Team now look, Suarez's Uruguay. Uruguay, Colombia, and Chile stink. Ecuador are going to qualify for a World Cup. I would have told you in 2016. By the way, Ecuador are going to qualify for the next for the 2020 World Cup. You'd look at me.
Yeah, I'd look at you and be like, and a
2022.
Valencia masterclass, mate.
2022 World Cup. You'd look at me and go, Chile, Colombia, because at that point you'd have been like, James Rodriguez will be one of the best players in the world. Like, come on, don't be silly.
Does this mean we'll be sat here and in like 8 years, Bolivia are going to be at the World Cup?
Didn't
Peru.
they? 1 second, I swear Bolivia did okay.
But yeah, I definitely think England can better themselves.
Yeah, I think we get to at least a semi-final again.
Yeah, I think there's only one way this squad's heading, and that's to a trophy. I think
Yeah.
we will get our first trophy since '66.
I think we will.
Be it the World Cup this year, the Euros in 2 years. I think we win one of those tournaments.
Yeah.
So Bolivia are 9th with 15 points, but
So they stink.
15 points isn't bad.
Yeah, but they stink.
They don't stink. There's only 6 points between them and Peru. I know we're towards the end now, but when you think about that, but yeah, Uruguay have made it into fourth. Sorry, so Uruguay have qualified because they've had a good. But Ecuador have qualified. Peru have qualified, or can qualify. Colombia and Chile are on the,
Like 6th and 7th, aren't they? Or 5th and 6th.
they're on. Yeah, Colombia 6th, Chile 7th. Yeah, all these teams that have got rich histories. Chile won Copa America back to back. I'm pretty sure. And now they can't even qualify for the World Cup. So I think the competition, I think South America has got less competition than Africa now.
Jesus.
I don't think so.
Jesus.
Senegal,
I disagree with that.
Nigeria,
Nah.
Egypt.
No.
I think there's more competition in
Egypt
Africa.
are not a good team.
But I can guarantee you they beat most of these South American teams.
Nah, Bolivia give Egypt a good game.
So I can guarantee this now. If Egypt make it, they will beat a South American team in the World
They're
Cup.
cannon fodder, mate. What was the score between Egypt and Saudi Arabia in the World Cup?
was like 4 years ago, mate.
In 2018 World Cup, what was the score?
Yeah, but like,
What was the score? Yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Was it 0-0?
come on, you're backing your point up now. You've got.
Good football inside Saudi
Let's have a
Arabia.
look, shall we?
They got a French manager, I think, don't they? Saudi Arabia.
You can't use something that happened 4 years ago as an example. Right?
Watch me.
Like, let's have a
They
look.
beat them. Saudi Arabia beat them.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia are about to finish top in Asia.
What a club.
After you were raving about Japan a few days ago. So, you know, you look at the 2018 World Cup. Croatia finished second.
Yeah, but going back to your point, I don't think you can say that Africa is more competitive.
You can.
It's closer than it was. I'll give you that, but I still don't think you can.
No, I don't think so.
I still don't think they're anywhere near.
I don't think you would have said that if it wasn't for the African Cup of Nations this season and the coverage it got.
I think I'd have still argued it because I just don't see it. I think there's a two-team thing now.
So you in the space of half an hour, you've gone from saying, "Oh, I didn't watch any AFCON," to African football's really good now.
I said it's a better standard of South America. That doesn't mean I think it's good.
I don't think it's a better standard. No way.
I don't know. I just think the top two teams. It's almost like a little thing now, where it's the top two teams are just so far ahead of the others, and the others can't catch up. I think with Africa, there's at least competition. You know, you look at the teams towards the top.
No, I think you took yourself a hole. I think this is a podcast clip that proceeds in 40 minutes.
I mean, it's either going to be that, or
That's what it says on the
I'm going to look like a genius. And Egypt end up somehow getting
Egypt win the World Cup, mate.
Egypt somehow get to the quarterfinals, and every team they beat there is South America.
No, not quite that would. 100%.
But I think that's where we'll have to end things off here for the first one.
Bombshell.
Thank you all for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please make sure to rate us on Spotify, a nice 5 stars, and or Apple Podcasts, because I don't think any of you are listening on Anchor, and if you are, then fair play to you. If you're watching the video version on YouTube for the first time, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends if you can. And if you are going to share it, tag us on Twitter at UnfortunateFP. We would love it if you could do that. Our personal Twitters will be linked down below if you want to give us a follow and see what we're doing. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next episode.